This week, we're back on the InScale Hobby Shop layout where I have a few small projects to complete and some pretty interesting history to share with you. Let's get right into it. During one of my final trips to the hobby shop to collect items and help shut down the store, I received these photographs of the layout dating back to the late 1980s and early 1990s. I was also told that the track currently on the layout is the original track laid in 1986. Pretty cool. I originally hadn't known that Kato made Unitrack that long ago, but as it turns out, they first sold it in Japan in the 1960s. The Unitrack on the layout is, naturally, an older style of plastic ballast with less texture variation and a slightly lighter color than this new Unitrack that was in the hobby shop inventory. I was also told that in 1995, when the NMRA convention was held in Atlanta, representatives from Kato Japan, including a Mr. Kato himself, made the short trip from the city to visit Riverdale Station and see the layout constructed in part using their products and record videotape of it in operation. So perhaps somewhere in their offices in Tokyo there is still an old video cassette with footage of this layout. Who knows? Let's go back to one specific photo though. See that? That looks to be a model of an Alco locomotive, possibly an RS-1, in Southern Railway paint, running on the layout. That's interesting because in a previous video of Yura left this comment asking me to run some Southern Railway power on the layout at some point. So shortly after that time, I found a good deal on this used Southern RS-1 online, and I've been holding on to this ever since for the sake of a future video. So there's no better time than now to put it on the layout and enjoy seeing Southern Railway action here once more. This locomotive also has Rapido-style couplers. In the rolling stock video, I noted that some of the freight cars painted for the Southern Railway had Rapido-style couplers, and I couldn't run them as a result. Well, how the tables have turned. So it's a happy reunion for these pieces of rolling stock and the history of this layout indeed. But that's not the only reunion. You also likely remember me saying that the original motive power for this layout, a collection of Central of Georgia diesels, were unavailable when I acquired the rolling stock a while back. Well, apparently they'd been held in reserve for a transaction that never happened, and so at the very end, I was able to acquire them. There's a pair of Fairbanks Morse H15-44s, road numbers 101 and 104, as well as a pair of GP7s, both wearing number 106. There were also a few additional Central of Georgia railcars too, so why don't we go ahead and run a COG-only train? And since there's now more than one operational locomotive, we can finally have two trains running at once. Awesome! Now, let's move on to some fix-it list items. Ever since the first video I posted on this layout, a few of you have noticed that this particular track bridge is missing, well, the bridge part. When I bought the layout, I had asked if the bridge components still existed, and was told they'd been removed during scenery reconstruction some time ago and lost. But this past week, on one of the final days of cleaning out the store after closure, we located the sides and a few small scrap pieces of material in the same color. I will need to properly fabricate a new frame to mount it, but the pieces are here. You've also likely noticed that the passenger station building is missing some pieces. I'm going to turn to some extra thin cement here to help put this all back together. The missing dormer pieces need to be reassembled, and that's easily accomplished with a little bit of cement and some good old-fashioned finger clamps. While that's drying, let's take the station building itself off the layout and get this chimney glued back in place. Once again, the extra thin cement will be great for this, and the broken piece sits perfectly in place with no mess. The re-glued dormer, however, is less than perfect. It seems there's a few tiny pieces that may have been lost to time, but it's going to look great from 5 feet away, so we're good. Back on the layout it goes, and we can finally stick the platform canopy back into place as well. Before we say goodbye this week, I thought it would be fun to revisit the old layout photos and recreate a few of the shots. Here's the mine scene with the large building in the foreground, before the Kitty Kaiju paid a visit. Next, this shot of some rolling stock on the upper loop with the house in the background before that half of the layout had the scenery redone, and here it is now, recreated with the exact same rolling stock, and yes, the same car parked at the house. Finally, this shot of most of the layout while it was in a different part of the store in the 1990s, and now with the same train assembled on the upper loop. And the Purina building turned the wrong way. Oops, let's fix that. I hope you enjoyed this look into the history of the layout and a bit of work toward getting it back to 100%. Thanks so much for all of your incredible support on the previous videos. I truly appreciate it, and I'm so glad to have you along for the journey of putting this layout back to 100% and all of the other fun stuff as well. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week.